Macie Alden had never known silence like this. Not city silence the kind, muffled by traffic and neighbors arguing through thin apartment walls, but the deep, rolling quiet of the frontier. When she stepped out of the stagecoach, dust billowing around her boots, she felt it right away, a stillness that wrapped around her like a blanket. Ahead stood the Lonesome Lighthouse Ranch, its most unusual feature piercing the horizon. A tall, weathered lighthouse built decades ago when settlers used its lantern to guide night riders and frontier travelers rose beside the modest ranch house. It hadn't been lit in years, but it still gave the land a strange, haunting beauty, perfect for a writer escaping a deadline. Macie adjusted her satchel, stuffed with half-finished manuscripts and ideas scribbled on crumpled napkins. She came to the ranch, hoping to cure her writer's block with isolation. Long walks and the legendary creative magic the old lighthouse was rumored to hold. What she didn't expect was the quiet cowboy walking toward her. Tristan Hale pushed his hat back, revealing warm eyes the color of worn leather. "You must be Miss Alden," he said, voice as smooth as creek water. "Name's Tristan. I handle most of the chores around here. Mrs. Lockwood said you'd need help settling in." Macie stiffened. "I planned on managing alone." Tristan gave a slow smile, the kind that didn't push, didn't pry, just waited. "Reckon that's your right. But the path to the lighthouse is rough terrain. Best you let me carry your things." Macie relented. Something about him didn't feel intrusive. More like steady support she didn't have to ask for. They walked toward the lighthouse quarters where she'd be staying. Wind brushed the prairie grass, making it ripple like golden waves. Tristan walked a few steps ahead, carrying her heavy trunk effortlessly. Inside the lighthouse, apartment, mall old, but warmly kept, Macie exhaled. This was it, her chance to finish her novel, to find peace. Tristan gently set her trunk down and tipped his hat. "If you need anything, I'm usually out by the barn, or up fixing the lantern on the lighthouse roof. Storm season's coming." Macie blinked. "You still fix the lantern, even though no one uses it?" He shrugged. "Seems wrong to let a light die, just because folks stopped looking for it." And with that simple line, her writer's block cracked just a little. Tristan stepped out, leaving her with her thoughts and a spark she hadn't felt in months. As the sun dipped behind the hills and shadows stretched long, Macie walked to the lighthouse window. Tristan was down by the barn, brushing down a mare, moving with gentle patience. Quiet cowboy devotion. Maybe this place did have magic, after all. Macie woke before dawn to the sound of boots on gravel. Curiosity dragged her to the lighthouse window. Tristan was already working hauling feed, checking fence lines, moving with the lazy grace of a man who belonged to the land. She made coffee, poured it into her favorite chipped mug, and sat at her writing desk. Words came easier today, gliding out like river water. She wrote for an hour before hitting a snag. A knock rattled the lighthouse door. Tristan stood on the porch holding a bucket of fresh eggs. "Figured you might need breakfast, seeing as the pantry up here's emptier than a gambler's pocket." Macie folded her arms. "I'm perfectly capable of cooking for myself." "You burn water?" he asked casually. Her flush answered for her. He chuckled. "I'll leave these with you then." He didn't step in, didn't hover, just handed the bucket over with a soft nod. But when she tried to cook the eggs, the pan smoked like a brush fire. Tristan, still outside repairing a broken railing, smelled it and hurried back. "Ma'am, that pan ain't supposed to turn black." Macie threw up her hands. "Fine, cook then." They worked side by side in the tiny lighthouse kitchen. Tristan cracked eggs with practiced ease. Macie chopped vegetables under his patient guidance. When breakfast was done, they sat at the small table. The lighthouse lantern above them, dusty but still proud, cast soft morning shadows. "Why'd you come here?" Tristan asked gently. "For quiet," she answered. "For inspiration. My publisher needs a new book. I haven't written a good chapter in months." He nodded, understanding more than she expected. "Land's good for that. It's honest. Makes you confront yourself." Macie studied him. And you, what brought you to the Lonesome Lighthouse Ranch? Tristan looked down at his hands, rough, scarred, hard-working hands. Needed a place where the past can't find me so easy. She didn't pry. He didn't offer more. Over the next few days, Tristan helped with chores around the lighthouse, fixing loose boards, roiling the steps, clearing brush, all while Macie wrote on the balcony, letting the rhythm of his work carry her through stubborn paragraphs. Sometimes, he made comments, simple, thoughtful things that somehow unlocked scenes she'd been struggling with. You ever notice how storms roll in quiet before they break? Maybe your character ain't running. Maybe she's searching. Even the loneliest light still shines if someone keeps it tended. He didn't know he was shaping her story. He didn't know he was shaping her heart. One evening, after he finished repairing a loose shutter, he saw her on the balcony, rubbing her temples in frustration. "Another block?" he asked. She sighed. "My character's kiss for the first time, but it doesn't feel real." Tristan leaned against the railing, studying her with unreadable calm. "Maybe you're thinking too much," he said softly. "Sometimes you just feel it." Their eyes held. A storm rolled quietly over the hills, and something inside her shifted. The storm Tristan predicted came faster than expected. Black clouds swept over the plains, rolling like an army marching toward the ranch. Lightning split the sky. Thunder cracked so loudly the lighthouse windows vibrated. Macie ran downstairs, panic gripping her chest. He was already outside, securing the barn doors, rain soaking through his shirt. "You shouldn't be out here," she shouted. He yelled back over the wind. "Gotta protect the animals first." She followed him through the storm, despite his protests. Together, they ushered the horses into their stalls, fighting the roaring wind. Tristan tried to shield her from flying debris, but she pushed him aside. "I can help," she insisted. When the last gate was latched, a violent gust nearly knocked her off her feet. Tristan grabbed her arm, pulling her against him. "We need to get to shelter now," he said gruffly. But instead of heading for the house, he pulled her toward the lighthouse. "Why not the ranch house?" she asked breathlessly. He didn't answer until they reached the stone steps. "That lantern tower was built to withstand anything," he said. "Storms, wildfires, even bandits. You'll be safer there." "Few, not we," Macie realized. Then he was planning to go back out into the storm. "No," she said firmly, gripping his soaked shirt. "You're staying with me." Lightning lit the sky behind him, outlining his strong jaw and determined eyes. "I gotta make sure nothing gets damaged." "You'll get hurt." His voice softened. "Macie, I've weathered worse." Another thunderclap shook the lighthouse. Without thinking, Macie tugged him inside. They climbed the winding staircase, boots sloshing on wet steps. At the top, Tristan grabbed an old oilcloth and wrapped it around her shoulders. Wind howled through the tower's cracks, but the storm couldn't reach them here. Macie stood beside him, watching the ranch disappear behind sheets of rain. The lantern, long unused, creaked overhead. "Do you ever light it?" she asked quietly. Tristan looked up. "Sometimes, when storms get bad, folks say it still gives comfort." She swallowed. "Light it. For me." His expression softened. He struck a match and lifted it to the wick. The lantern flared to life, casting warm golden light across the tower. Macie exhaled. "Beautiful." Tristan didn't look at the lantern. He looked at her. "Storms don't scare you anymore," he murmured. "I'm more worried about you." Another rumble echoed. Macie flinched. Tristan stepped closer. "You're safe," he said. "I'm right here." Their fingers brushed, then lingered, then intertwined. A slow electricity, stronger than the storm, crackled in the air between them. "Tristan," she whispered. He cupped her cheek with one calloused hand. "Tell me if this is wrong." "It's not," she breathed. He leaned in, but lightning struck nearby, shaking the tower violently and breaking the moment. Tristan steadied her. "Storms get in worse," he murmured. "We'll ride it out together." And they did, side by side, hands still intertwined, hearts beating in unison. By morning, the storm had passed, leaving the land washed clean and sparkling under the sun. Macie and Tristan descended the lighthouse steps, tired but strangely connected. He walked her to the ranch porch, boots squelching in the mud. "You did good last night," he said. Didn't panic once. She laughed softly. Only because you stayed with me. Tristan paused, eyes lingering on her face. I reckon I couldn't have left if I tried. Before she could respond, Mrs. Lockwood hurried out. Bless the heavens, you two made it. The storm took down part of the south fence. I'll get started on repairs, Tristan said, tipping his hat. He turned to Macie. Stay near the lighthouse. Grounds still slippery. But Macie didn't stay put. After a few hours of writing another chapter, flowing sweeter than honey, she walked out to where Tristan was repairing the fence. He was shirtless, under the rising sun, sweat glistening on his back, as he hammered a post into the muddy earth. Macie froze. This was not helping her focus. He noticed her and grabbed his shirt, smirking slightly. You here to supervise, or just enjoy the scenery? She flushed. Neither. I brought lemonade. Tristan took the jar, his fingers brushing hers. Thank you. You didn't have to. I wanted to. He drank deeply, then handed the jar back. Your writing going better. She nodded. Because of you. He blinked. Surprised me. You inspire me, she said honestly. Your words. Your way of seeing things. Even the way you fix a fence post gives me scenes. Tristan swallowed hard. Macie, I ain't used to someone saying that. She stepped closer. Maybe you should be. Silence fell warm, charged. Then he spoke softly. There's something you ought to know about me. Her stomach nodded. What is it? He hesitated, then turned away. Later, I gotta finish this fence before sundown. Macie watched him work, feeling the shift between them. The pull growing stronger. That evening, Tristan climbed the lighthouse steps to check on her. She was editing her manuscript, lantern light glowing behind her. You came back, she said gently. I said I would. He sat beside her, hat in his hands. I ain't a man with much to offer. Not really. She frowned. Tristan, there's things in my past I ain't proud of. Things that drove me out here. I wanted a quiet life. And then you showed up. She touched his hand. Do you want me here? His voice dropped to a whisper. More than I should. Macie leaned in. Then, that's enough. He looked at her, torn between desire and restraint. If I kiss you now, I won't want to stop. Then don't, she whispered. This time, nothing interrupted them. Their lips met slow, warm, certain. A kiss that tasted like sunrise after a storm. A kiss that promised more than either dared to say. The days after their kiss felt different, brighter, softer, full of unspoken promise. Macie wrote, with fire in her veins. Tristan worked with a lighter step. Every evening, they met at the lighthouse balcony, watching the sun dip behind the plains. But the peace shattered when a rider arrived at the ranch. A hard-faced man with a scar along his jaw. Tristan Hale, the man said coldly. Knew I'd find you hidin' out here. Macie's heart lurched as Tristan stiffened. Macie, go inside, he murmured. No, she said firmly. I'm not leaving you. The stranger dismounted. You owe me, Hale. You walked out before the job was done. Macie's pulse hammered. What job? Tristan stepped in front of her. I ain't that man anymore. I don't run with your crew. I don't want trouble. But trouble had found him. The man reached for his gun. Tristan blocked him, shoving him backward. A scuffle broke out, brutal and fast. Macie grabbed the lighthouse signal bell and struck a warning clang that echoed across the ranch. Mrs. Lockwood called for help. Ranch hands ran from the barn. The fight ended when Tristan disarmed the man, pinning him to the dirt. You're ridden out, Tristan growled. And you ain't coomin' back. The man spat, but rode away. When the dust settled, Macie knelt beside Tristan. Why didn't you tell me? I didn't want my past scarring you off, he whispered. It doesn't scare me, she said fiercely. Losing you does. He looked at her, emotion raw in his eyes. You deserve someone better. She shook her head. I deserve someone honest, someone brave, someone who'd risk everything to protect the people he cares about. Macie touched his cheek. That's you, Tristan. He pulled her into his arms, burying his face in her hair. I love you, Macie. I tried not to, but I do. She smiled softly, then stopped trying. That night, they lit the lighthouse lantern together. Its warm glow spread across the plains, steadfast, unwavering, like the love blooming between them. Macie finished her novel soon afterward. Her publisher adored it, but she didn't return to the city. Her heart belonged here, on the Lonesome Lighthouse Ranch, with the cowboy who taught her how to shine again. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more Western stories.